Hello, everyone, and welcome to this session of the Thriving Families Africa Summit. Today, we are hearing from the front lines of school life. What are our children carrying? What do adults miss? How can home and school work together? And our guest is a friend, a colleague, someone who we have walked this journey of understanding children, understanding families together. Her name is Njau, and she's a school counselor who interacts with children daily, and not who better to speak into that space than Mercy. So, Mercy, we're so glad to have you. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Just before we began, I said, I am so honored that, you thought about me to be here. It's meaningful what we do,
Yeah.
where you are, where I am.
Mm.
Um, Children now we know more than ever because we all were once children.
Yeah.
But with research and the more we know, we realize, oh, there was a better way. It's not to ever crucify anybody.
Mm.
Our parents or our grandparents, they worked with the tools that they had. But now we know better. Before you even jump in, if you can allow me just to give you a little story, I have a friend who's a new mom. And I mean, I've known her from her single days. We're pretty close. And then now she's in her family and her daughter is one. And as she talked about just the long nights or how her daughter can really go into tantrums and how she just is so exhausted. First, I identified with her as a mom, but also because of my work and what I've learned over the years, I realized, my gosh, I know how to help her. I know what her daughter needs from her as a 1-year-old. I know how she can be more self-regulated and benefit from being a calmer mom. And I just, throw the disclaimer out there that I would never go back just because I know better as a mom. But it just occurred to me, like a green, a light in my light bulb that, oh my, I know what her baby needs to set her up for better regulation as a baby, and even for the mom, calm, for her experience to be richer. And as I spoke to her, just saying, I imagine how tense you feel, you're eager for the baby to sleep. And she was just going, yeah, So
Yeah.
now that we know better, or we know more, let me say we know more,
Yeah.
we have to keep talking about it and we have to keep stepping into the spaces with this knowledge and putting it into practice. So I'm happy to be here to be part of expanding this to the wider African community and maybe beyond Africa.
Absolutely. Beyond Africa, we are reaching to other communities also in the diaspora. And I'm sure even those who are not carrying the African label, we are human beings. We
Yes.
all benefit from these conversations. And I love where you have started, Mercy, from a place of confidence. And that's one of the things that I'd really like people to get out of this summit, is that there are people who know what to do, and they can equip you in what to do, so that you can also be like Mercy and say, I know what to do. You become that parent who is like, I know what to do. And I don't think there's better confidence than just going in and saying, I know what I'm doing right now. I know the seeds that I'm sowing right now. I may not see the results, but at least I'm doing it from a place of confidence. So
Confidence.
yeah.
And there's always room to learn. Yeah. Even as we sit here, you and I,
Yeah.
we've walked a journey and we are walking a journey and we're learning a new way of existing in our own normal life.
Right.
So yeah. All right.
Okay, so tell us about Mercy, what Mercy does on an everyday basis, maybe apart from the weekends. What does Mercy do Monday to Friday? You can also tell us what you do over the weekend if it's relevant.
Okay,
Yeah.
if I want. Okay.
Yeah.
So Mercy is a woman with a family of her own. I've got two little girls. I don't know if they're so little now, but they're 7 and 10. And I am a counseling psychologist. I'm also a musician, you guys. Uh, but for most of my time, I spend it as a counseling psychologist in a school. I've done this. This is my 12th year. And there is not a Monday that I have hated going to work. Like I started with Daktari, just saying this is meaningful work. And there's never a day where it's just the same thing. So I have been in the school counseling space from kindergarten all the way to A level. We work with those children that need support. And we set up structures in the school system that infuse well-being and mental health. We teach them about mental health. What does it mean? What does it mean for them? How do they observe? whether they're okay or not. We're normalizing support seeking, normalizing support seeking. So it's very exciting that we have kids who just walk into the counseling room. They know they're not okay, or they know they have an update of something and they want to tell someone, and they come to our counseling spaces. And our staff as well over time, we're not a community that was very given to, therapy and counseling. But our staff over time have understood well-being and mental health. And so you'll find them, one person wanting to talk to you, or two or three. So now we, as much as they're not the primary clients that we serve in a school, we also support staff. We do programs for awareness and equipping them and parents. So that's what I do, and I find meaning in that, apart from being a mom and a wife, and a musician. Yes. Have I answered that?
Yes, you have. What really stood out is that you've come to a place where you've normalized support seeking.
Yes.
That just, was a big highlight for me, because clearly it's because you've created a certain kind of environment. I teach educational psychology, and I train teacher counselors. And one of the things I ask them is, how many of you ever walked into a therapy or went to see the guidance, whatever, teacher or whoever, and I'll see maybe about, we have those large classes of 200, 300, I'll see 400 missing. And I'm like, how many did it willingly? And I'll get only one or zero out of that.
Yeah.
So I think, just because this conversation is just organic, what does it take to provide that kind of environment where children just walk in, like, let me just walk in because I want to see Miss.
Yes. Yes. As you spoke, I just thought it's important to tell that story. So it's good you've asked, because we did not begin that way. This is my 12th year. People would know there's a counselor, and that's the counselor, and it was so separate from everything. And so the initial work, and I would say this is the work of a school counselor ideally, is to make people aware of what this is and why it matters for them, and not to say it once or twice, but to say it 100 times in very creative, different ways. So we realized you can have, for example, with the staff, because children tend to be malleable. Children can absorb, especially if they're young. The teenagers are the ones who get trickier. They don't want to be seen going into the counselors. They don't want to look like they stand out in any way. So the teenagers are the ones who, you have to keep trying to be in their program, be in their space, let them see this is normal, create mental health weeks and involve students, because peer-to-peer is a powerful tool. But with staff, what we noticed is you can have a staff meeting that's work-based. It's about how to show up for the children, how to teach children who are weak, how to do this. But when you have a session and say, take them through a journey of how they were raised, any journey that has people reflecting on themselves, where they're coming from, what were their experiences, validating those experiences, they begin to see. And you're not judging, it's saying, oh, how was this for you? And how was this? When we started to find teachers are responding to those kind of meetings, and they start to feel that they're part of, oh, my wellness matters. It's not just for the children. I'll tell you, Doc, that I have, even with parents, because we have parent programs, moved away, even as we present a thought, a line of thought for parents to consider with their children. I begin by saying, do it for yourself. Do it for yourself first. If you are able to have self-awareness, which I feel is an epidemic, people are lacking in self-awareness, but the minute you're able to catch yourself, learn a tool for being calmer, or learn a tool of getting out whatever has gone on in your day, and you're a calmer person, you're a happier person. Guess what? There is no way I am calm and happy and walk into the house and just start shouting at people. It's impossible. How you even approach a mistake in the home when you walk in will be different. If you are aware you've had a really exhausting day, and say you took 10 minutes in your car because you're aware, and you're taking some time to breathe, or calling a friend, or listening to something, or just closing your eyes, you walk into that home different. So you are the first beneficiary. And that's what has worked for us in school with the adults, is to tell them it's for you. It's for you first. It will benefit the children. And there are things we can do to work with children, but it's for you first. So that's what it's taken. And so people now value, even when we do check-ins, because we really encourage check-ins in the school, we're asking things that seem mundane, like, how did you sleep?
Yep.
Umeamka aje in Kiswahili, yeah?
Yeah.
How have you woken up? How did
Mhm.
you sleep? If someone mentioned a child is going through something, or even something as doing an exam, how was it? I'm doing an exam. How was the exam? You know, because you need to live aware of what's happening in your life. And when you show care to someone, guess what? They care about what you have to say. Yeah. I think it's one of the American presidents who said, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So lead with care.
Mm-hmm.
Even when we've talked to leaders in the school, we say lead with care. And people now want to hear what you have to say because you're always so concerned. You've shed light on their own journeys. You've made them feel like people. You validated their experience. They start to have buy-in. I won't say it's a perfect scenario yet.
Of course.
It's not yet there.
Mm-hmm.
But we're seeing a lot more staff wanting to talk
Mm-hmm.
or wanting a referral. Parents as well being more open to that, referring children to the counselors because teachers are the people on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
They are the ones who interact with students the most.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're seeing more referrals because they're saying, you could go to the counselor for this,
Mm-hmm.
or whispering, students so and so might need support. So we're not where we were even 5, no, maybe 6, 7 years ago. We have jumped forward. By the time COVID was coming, I think it's safe to say
Mm-hmm.
mental health was understood largely and why it matters. And that's how we've done it in our little corner of
Wow.
the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
12 years is a long time. Again, that just speaks into process, into continuously doing
Yes.
those things and being consistent. And then again, what stands
Yes.
out for me is that it's not just for with the children, but you're also reaching out to the staff in a way that is very caring. I love that phrase, leading with care. And then
Mm-hmm.
also saying that, the teachers are able to refer kids
Mm-hmm.
to the
Mm-hmm.
counselor's office. So let's just take that line a little bit, and I want to ask,
Okay.
what is it that they have been trained or been told to notice? What are some of those things that they notice that
Yeah.
say, this child most likely doesn't?
Yeah.
At least you can do it for both a teacher and a parent. What are some of those things?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Um, to even begin with, teachers already have a wealth of knowledge
Mm-hmm.
in through their training.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing that we tell teachers to look out for is a change in behavior, even with parents. You know your child best.
Mm-hmm.
If you see a child who is usually, even, because sometimes you see a child is hyper and now they're withdrawn. So those are obvious. But a child could be naturally withdrawn and suddenly they seem over bubbly. It's not a bad thing, but you want to be curious. Always be curious.
Mm-hmm.
Behavior has changed. What's behind the behavior?
Mm-hmm.
Curious is safe. It's not judging. It's just even to lead with the word, oh, I've noticed you are a little more quiet today than usual, or I've noticed you're getting angry more than, or I've noticed you're talking a lot more today, more, more than usual. Has something happened, something exciting? Let's be curious.
Mm-hmm.
And because, like I said earlier, we have validated experiences of teachers, they now are able to empathize that children are also living life, that we were all once children. Um, people tend to ask when you hear I'm a school counselor, what troubles are children going through these days? And the
Mm-hmm.
truth is, they're not going through different things than you are going through. The
Okay.
context is different,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not different in terms of needing to be seen, to be heard, to be affirmed, to feel like you belong, you know, and it's the same thing. So noticing, changing behavior. And now, because we've built empathy and personal experience in the adults, when they notice, they say, oh, there's help for this, there's support for this. Maybe let me ask the counselor about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how it's happened.
Mm-hmm. So I know you've
Mm.
said that context is different and things are still similar, but have you noticed anything different, like significantly different when it comes to the
Yeah,
mental health of children over your 12 years?
yeah,
I think 12 years is a good
yeah.
marker because that's before COVID, right? And
Yes,
after COVID.
yes,
Yeah. Any
yes.
changes, any different?
Um, oh my gosh, yes, there are differences.
Mm,
So when I say our needs are not different, I mean at
mm,
the core of being human,
mm,
needing love, needing support, yeah. But how it presents is different. Children, there's the obvious pandemic period. It's been talked about
mm,
extensively. The use of gadgets, it's increased significantly.
mm,
We have children who are friends with people who they've never met, which I personally have some trepidation about, if they come and talk to us about that, we're saying, does your parent know this? Because we want to see there's a supervisory eye. on this child because they could be predators. So they're making friends with people they've never met, even with AI characters. There are children who are seeking support from an AI platform. But what's happened, and this has also been discussed more, is the increase in screen use has also made children a lot more detached emotionally. The meanness levels, bullying and potential for bullying, or where they actually tell you, no, miss, that's not even a big deal. But what they have said is actually a hurtful statement, and apparently that's how they joke. So the level of meanness and lack of empathy and thinking through what is the impact on this person if I say this, if I behave, has increased. It has increased. I've also found that children seem less alive. I don't know if that makes sense. They're not thriving in terms of they lack awe, they lack innocence in terms of awe for things, noticing things and just being happy about them. They lack passion. It's like they're just existing. And truly, I attribute that to over and above a lot of gadget use. It's on the foundation where there is no foundation. We have adults who are a lot more busy than before. And like I said, we are not trying to crucify, work has demands and you want to provide this life for your children. But there's a lot less face-to-face interaction with children now, where they get to learn mirroring emotions and how to navigate conflict. Even in play, children are in the house playing on a gadget. They are not outside where you run, you fall, you feel pain, you get up, a friend helps you or laughs at you, and you navigate those emotions.
You disagree, fight.
Yes. Yeah. And then even the platform to bring that outside experience to someone at home. There's nobody at home. And the funny thing is, you can be home, but we are all on our gadgets. Sometimes you'll talk to a parent who is really concerned about gadget use with a child. But when you ask them, are you always on your gadget? Then you see them pause and smile awkwardly. Because teenagers will tell you, she's telling me that when she's on her phone, referring to the mother or the father. So kids now the word that came to me, it's a word used in positive psychology, was languishing. It's like you're just there. You just kind of exist. And then because you're not in touch with normal day-to-day emotions, because you get your rewards very quickly on the gadgets and you're communicating with friends, but it's on a gadget, you find they get frustrated a lot more faster. Oh my gosh, they get frustrated a lot more faster. They give up on something a lot more faster. It's like extremes. I'm happy, then I'm totally sad and the world is not okay. And I find that has changed. As much as we could say, let's say with adolescents, they tend to be highly emotional, a bit more negative in their thinking. It's a lot more now than before. And just feeling like they can't do things for themselves. They'll give up quickly. They're not thinking of solutions. It's like I'm stuck here and I hate it here and I just want to sit here in this emotion. So children, for me, I feel like they're lacking in awe and that sense of being happy and alive. The word I've used is languishing. I feel like they get a lot more frustrated now than before. They do lack empathy. I mean, they don't even know it. Even if you talk about it to them, you can see they're not connected with what you're actually saying because they've been on a gadget for so long. Their brain is wired a certain way. So meanness, as they say things, as they do things, it's actually an uphill task to really try to get kids. You can have themes like kindness, but you always hear cases of this happened and they're picking on me and they formed a group and they put it online. And so that has changed. But also the foundation for children is not there. So it feels like they're in the air. And so they don't even know where to take big emotions, they don't know where to take their anger or their fear or even excitement. And so you find they're even more anxious. They're more anxious, they're more sad, they're just more sad. They're reporting a lot more loneliness in terms of they have friends, but they'll talk to you and say, I can't tell anyone this, and yet they exist in family. Some have siblings, they exist in friend groups, but they're just in their minds. I can't show my authentic self or I'm just alone. So there's that, which is not the best thing. But that's how children have changed. But on a positive note, they are more informed. When we've talked about mental health, they are more informed. And so they communicate how they're feeling a lot more than we ever did, the older generation. You will find a 4-year-old can tell you you're shouting at me, and it's in this is not okay tone, like you are shouting at me, and they have no fear of saying it. Which is a great thing, because that's self-awareness. So on a positive note, kids are now a lot more self-aware of how they're doing and things like their mental health and what their needs are. And it might be what people talk about with Gen Z now, and they just communicate it, which is not how, for us, if you were shouted at in the house or in school, I don't think we even had awareness that you've been shouted at. It's just like, that's how that teacher is, or that's how that father is, and you've been shouted at, and you take your emotions wherever you will take them. But kids now hit pause. They hit pause and they say, you talked to me a certain way and I'm not okay. Yes. So that's also a positive note. It's a mishmash, but that's where we are.
It is. Of course, I felt sad as I was listening to the first part. They're sadder. They're, the levels of empathy are lower, and they just seem listless and lost. Of course, now on the flip side is that they are able to articulate that. And I think for me, just something, as you were talking, something came to mind. A couple of days ago, I was in a session for workplace well-being, and one of the questions that I was asking the participants is, what do you desire as an environment, a thriving environment for a workplace? And they listed all those things that Gen Zs are clamoring for, and I say, you see how alike we are. We can trash them being out there saying all these things like they are soft and everything, but deep down we all desire that. It's just that they are louder and bolder.
Yes, it's true.
Right?
It's true. I agree. Yeah.
So now, obviously there is a space where you probably hear that more because you've created that kind of environment, and they're able to talk to you and able to tell you all that. So just, give us the spiel. What does it take to really just create that environment from the school perspective? How can we work with parents? What can parents do? Just give us all the mixed bag.
Yeah. Remember I said lead with care? Yeah. That people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. If you're in a space where you can influence well-being or mental health in a school, and parents, and for parents, you have to be in a place where truly this matters. You see why it matters. And so you're taking your step on the ground with that mindset that this matters and where is it needed, right? So if you're in a school, you need to be in a place where you are looking for where the gaps are. And if you're going to notice gaps, it means you have to be part of the system, the school system. You are not going to be working in isolation. Otherwise, like I said, how we began, it's that office over there that nobody knows about. And so you're beginning by talking to people about it, finding opportunities, giving them experiences that they identify in their day-to-day and can say, oh, that's what you mean. Yeah, I experienced that. And so that's where you begin, where you're taking the message out in very friendly and child appropriate or age appropriate ways. Even with the parents, because you realize you can't help children outside of the people who influence them. They're influencers, people who have say over their environment. And that's the teachers and the staff, other staff members around children. That's the parents. It's bringing parents in and saying, how are you, first of all? Where are you coming from today? And I like a question you asked, Doc. You say, what's on your plate? What's on your plate and how are you handling it? Why? Because that's informing how you're showing up. And so that's what you do. I love a statement that I read somewhere. It said, culture trumps strategy. Culture trumps strategy. So if you're in a space in a school where the culture is just deliver the curriculum, children get A's at home, your culture is, we are an academic family, get your A's. Are you studying? What time do you study? You're always on the TV, go and study. And your culture is just performance, delivery. Then you have created a system where even if you bring in theory, well-being, it goes nowhere. People hear it with their ears and maybe their brain says, oh yeah, this could work. But because you're not leading with care. Before you tell me we need to move from A to M, you need to come to where I am at A, understand where I am at this A point and why it's even working for me right now. And tell me, I get you. I see it's this, and I start to feel like, oh, you actually see why this makes sense, why A makes sense. Yeah, and I say, yeah, A makes sense. But guess what? Could you consider M? Can I tell you what's at M? And it's not forceful. And I'm telling you why M could also work. And you start to see the person say, okay, maybe I can borrow something from M. Maybe we can visit M, even if I'll come back to A, which is culture, right? And that's the struggle we have. I realized just because people have information, it doesn't mean change is coming. There is a gap between knowledge and actual change, and it's because change is hard.
Yeah.
Change is hard. Yeah. So how you help just create that kind of system. Lead with care. See people as people. If it's staff members, see them as people who are walking a life journey of their own. They have good days, they have bad days, they have hopes and dreams and expectations about life, and care about that, especially if you're a school leader. You're not going to pour into every single journey, but it's where you're saying, how are you? And be willing to hear the answer. How are work conditions? And be willing to hear the answer. What ideas do you have for what we can do better? Because it means you have seen me as a valuable contributor to what we are doing here. And when you see people as individuals who add value or can add value, who matter as people, they're more willing to hear you. And that's how it's worked where I am, is that we've shown them you are a person and you matter and your journey matters. And I actually care to hear about it and see how I can support you. And then by the time I'm saying, so now we're at A with your journey, and we've sorted you out at A, you know what, but there's M, and how you deal with A is impacting M, and we could do something. They're more willing to buy into it. So I'll tell you, we've even set up programs where we have a mom's meeting, and we have a dad's meeting, and it's not to tell them how to be a mom or how to be a dad. We just put that on the shelf, and we just say, what do moms need to hear about now? Is it their self-worth? This year, as we began, we did vision boards, and because you're pouring into them as people, they show up better wherever they go. But also, if I pick the phone and say, hi, I met with your child, could you come in for a meeting? They're not looking at you as a threat anymore, because they realize this is a person who cares. They know you, they know the programs, they've interacted. So they're more willing to hear what you have to say about the child. And I'll tell you, even in the room, I start by saying, how are you feeling? Is it awkward that I called you in as the school counselor? Are you okay? As you tell a parent the struggle their child is going through, you pause and say, how do you feel about what I've said? Because they're going through their emotions. No parent wants to hear their child is struggling, although it's the reality that children struggle as much as you struggle. So I think honestly today, in everything I'm saying, I'm just putting care as the title. You must lead with care. For anything you want to get going, anything you want people to understand and buy into, you must come from a place of seeing them, seeing where they are, what do they need, and helping them see themselves, and then getting them to a place where it's okay. Wherever they are, good days are okay, bad days are okay. Where can I get support? And the same with parents. With parents, we may not see them as clients because it's a school, but we will say, can I give you some names of people you could call? Or do you have friends or family you can talk to as you are processing this? Because we can't work in isolation as humans. We're going to crash and burn. Yeah, so that's how we've done it, and that's how I really feel is best practice. You must lead with care. You must see people as people, and then they let you in their spaces because you're no longer a threat, and you start to see where gaps may be and see, what do I need to do for these gaps to be filled. Yeah.
You bring a very unique angle to this, because when most of us think about school, we have so much baggage with school. There's a lot of baggage. There's a lot of unresolved issues with school, with teachers, and we have stories from here to Timbuktu about how teachers treated us. And one of the things that even when I work with teachers, there is such I see animosity. It's very clear animosity between parents. And when you start unpacking, you realize this is deeper. This is deeper than just my child struggling. This is unresolved issues, And the
Yes,
things that I
yes,
hadn't resolved about school, about teachers, about remembering my experience where I tried to
yeah.
speak up, and
Mm-hmm.
my deputy principal just cut me off and told me never ever talk to me
Yeah.
like that. And I was told to lie down, and I was
Oh
chapward,
my. Oh
And
my,
we
yeah.
carry those things, and
Yes.
sometimes when Miss Mercy calls me to school about my child, that's how I'm coming in. I'm
Yeah,
coming in with a lot
it's
of
true.
conflict, a lot of turmoil
Mm-hmm.
within myself. So I really,
Mm-hmm.
really love that angle you take, that it's, first of all,
Mm-hmm.
I just want to check on you. I just want to see, because again, that's how we are
Mm-hmm.
socialized is your child did this, there's bullying, this is the policy, and this,
Mm-hmm.
what you're inviting us to do really is to step back and look at the human behind
Yes.
behind
Yes.
the child, with a human behind the
Yes.
parent label, and just start
Yes.
there. It does take a lot
Yes.
to do that, and I'm loving that you're bringing that angle.
Yes. And what essentially we hope you've done over time as a counselor,
Mm,
is that you've helped them see themselves as human.
yeah,
Because I cannot start to see people as human if I have no practice of doing it for myself.
myself, right?
And then also we're coming from a place where nobody saw us as, what do you mean human? We have things to do. Life must be lived, you
The
know?
goals to
Um,
achieve.
yeah. What are we doing here?
Mm,
Like let's move. But when you hit pause and you see the human behind the behavior, and
mm,
hopefully you caught that human before the behavior has come. You've set up programs, how you greet them in the corridor and
mm,
spend the 2 minutes with them.
mm,
You're treating them as a person that matters.
mm,
Then when you start to tell them, see the human behind the behavior in regards to their child,
mm,
they are now willing to understand, oh, there could have been something else going on with this child. They're willing to give that argument a chance because it's true. Behavior comes from somewhere. But when they have, because that's how we were treated, just as face value. You're shouting, pa, you're saying
mm,
something, beaten, oh, shut up,
mm,
we have no practice of that.
mm.
So I think it's also a healing journey of sorts. Healing takes forever, but when you begin to see people and say hello and actually inquire, and they start to look at you like, hey, you're interested.
Mm,
You're actually interested in how my day went or how my child is doing.
mhm,
Then you start to tell them maybe there's something going on with that child who was disturbing you in class today. They get it. They get it. So I'll say it's not perfect. We're not there with everybody or every single instance,
mm,
but I really think you must think as think of it as changing a culture,
mm,
changing a culture. And it's gonna take forever. And you just can't give up. That's why I said to you, as the medium through which it happens, do you have the mind frame that this matters?
mm,
This matters. Because when you hit a block,
mm,
you must come back to your why.
mm.
It's what keeps you going. Yeah.
you know, I knew this conversation would not be so much about the kids. I'm like, we need to talk about the children and how we can help them and how we can support them. But I knew
Yeah.
somehow, because really at the crux of it all, it's about the caregiver, it's about the teacher, it's about the adult in that child's space.
Yes.
And you can only
Yes.
provide what it is that has worked
Yeah.
for you, and you're practicing.
Yeah.
Again, we are saying it's not
Yeah.
perfect. We are not there yet. We'll never be there. That's not what we are looking for. But we are looking
Mm-hmm.
to build the consistency, to
Yes.
build the little things.
Yes.
So I just maybe just speaking to that now. Of course, we know by the time maybe a child is showing indiscipline or even
Mm-hmm.
mental health issues, there's a lot going
Mm-hmm.
on. Just speak to this
Mm-hmm.
parent who's just really feeling stuck. And
Yeah.
where do we start?
Allow me to just go back to what you just said. Something came to my mind that we miss maybe because we didn't have the information back then,
Mm,
but now we know that children need us. Okay, so I've already said that children don't have different problems than adults.
mm,
At their core, context is different. So read into that children are human too. Okay, there's that, but also children need us to
mm.
navigate life.
Yeah.
And we may not have realized it, but we grew up a certain way, and there's a way the world was set up that worked or didn't work for us. But if we look back, maybe our grandparents, maybe there was a sense of community,
Mm,
especially for us in Africa.
mm,
you didn't live very far from your father and mother. Even if you got married, if you are a man, you built a home near that homestead, the children of the home. I mean, your neighbor, it's not long ago we visited my friends, an older friend, she's in her 50s, her mom. But then the lady and the neighbor just next door came out and said, oh, I know. And she was so happy to see her. And the lady said to me, this lady would pinch us, like if she got us doing so, she'd pinch. It was wonderful. You're seeing an old lady, so happy to see her. There was community. And as you interacted and they told you stories, or you went to the farm, or you did whatever, you were learning to be heard, you were being told stories. So there's a way the community would pour into children, teach them skills, teach them values. This is what we believe in. This is how we do things. And then that has really disintegrated in the world we are living in today. You would actually not even know your next door neighbor, and that's not unusual for anybody in today's world. It's very sad because those setups help children learn regulation, how to regulate their emotions. You might find maybe your mother smacked you, but you could run to your grandmother right next door, or your auntie, and your auntie will be there just being like, oh, I'm so sorry, or she shouldn't have beaten you so hard, and as she's calm, you're beginning to be calmer, and she might say, I'll talk to your mom, something like that. Children need us to learn right from, I think we even know now, right from the womb, right? How a mother is doing impacts the child. So as much as possible, be a calm, stress-free mother for your child's benefit. In the infancy, children need you to learn how, not even at that point, they're not learning, literally they are taking from you. If you are calm, mom, stress-free, as much as you can be, children tend to be calmer also. When they cry and you're just that very comforting, responsive presence, they're drawing from you. As they get older, you're sitting beside them or meeting them at their level and you're remaining calm even when they throw a tantrum. I know that sounds like a perfect picture, and we will say we know it's not perfect. How you recover that as a parent matters. If you also snapped when your child snapped, coming back to their level, sometimes even sitting with them or squatting or kneeling there at the carpet with them and just saying, how I reacted was not okay. I'm sorry I shouted at you. Immediately, you're helping them feel valued. Oh gosh. Yeah. Oh, so it was not okay that you shouted at me. You're helping them see how conflict can be resolved. You are apologizing, and they're learning. So it's a co-learning for them. They're co-regulating, they're learning from you in those active high emotions, how to be calm, even when they're through. And you can be firm, but calm. So just to say, children need us, even as they go into adolescence, they need you to see them, first of all, that they have grown, because adolescents have this need to be made to, like, what's your opinion? What do you think about that? What was your thought process when you were doing that? And yet you remain the firm and steady person for your child. So children need us, and we have, maybe we're not aware of it as we should be. They need you to navigate life until the moment when, let's say, they're going off into college and they're staying in a hostel. And hopefully you equip them with enough self-worth and self-awareness. And they know you lose it once in a while, but you're always coming back. And so even they learn. You start to see them as they're older. They did something and they'll come and say, I'm sorry, dad. I'm sorry, mom. Even to teachers, I'm sorry, miss, they're learning. So the idea that there's a separateness in kids needing or growing, how they're growing, and how it's really a one, it's a unity, it works together in tandem. If you have that mindset, this child needs me to understand where they are, or at least to process it. This child needs me. Even when you lose it, you're shouting today, you're irritable, but you come back. How you recover, then you really are helping them understand themselves, understand human emotions, understand how to respond to things. And so that's something I really wanted to put out there. Children are human too, but children need us, the adults, to make sense of life. So you talked about a mom who may be stuck. There are behavioral issues. In our field, we are always curious to know when it began. Because it's likely there are things that happened around that event. Sometimes you'll even find it's when a new baby was born and you just started to see behavior change. And what does that change mean to the child? So helping you think through, when did you see this? What changed around that time? What was going on? Is it a school thing? And you can inquire from the teacher. So always look at school as a partner. as a partner in this journey, because your child, as much as we do at work, unless you're self-employed, your child lives in school. We live at work. We come home to eat and sleep and we shower and we go back out there. We spend a lot more time in school. Your child spends a lot more time in school than at home. And so look at school as a partner. If you've noticed a change, call the teacher. Yeah. And just inquire. Has something happened? Did my child go through something that I'm not aware of? But even before you call the teacher, hopefully you're in a space with your child that you check in, that there's a culture at home where it's a genuine, how was your day? Maybe it's over dinner. Maybe it's in the cars you drove home. What happened? Do you know your child's friends? If they tell you so and so did, you're like, what? You're in the story with them. So that if you notice something has changed, imagine children even who are 5, 6 years, you can sit and say, oh, I've noticed you're a bit sad. Yesterday you were sad, today you were sad. Did something happen, And it's likely if you have regular check-ins, it's likely today or the next day the child might say, Dad, when we went to play yesterday, so and so told me, and they will tell you. So if you're stuck with your child, maybe you've not had opportunities enough to check in. And so you're not even knowing where the inroads are for where to begin with this child. But remember leading with care. So if you see behavioral issues and maybe you're frustrated at work and maybe things are going on, you're just feeling, oh, this is too much for me. So begin with yourself. Where are you at, mom or dad? What are you dealing with?
Begin with yourself.
Is work okay? Yeah, is work okay? Are your relationships okay? What are your stress? How are you dealing with those stressors? So that you're separating this child's behavior from the baggage of other things. Otherwise, the child suffers all of that together, and that's not fair. And once you found a way to calm down, even if you didn't have a culture, you can start now, where you're coming to the child and saying, maybe I never say this or I don't say this often, but I really, really love you. And I really think you're a cool kid. And I'm noticing you're not okay these days, what's happening, And just because kids crave that, we are born with that craving for our parents, our caregivers to just love us and embrace us when we show up. I've had children say, when I even just appeared to hug or to embrace, she was irritated, or he just started shouting or asking me about things I've not done. And so we are vulnerable to even how we are received when we show up in a space, So you could start now if you didn't have that culture. Have you first dealing with where you're at, so you're separating issues? Because at your core of being stuck is a worry for your child. At the core of that worry is a love that you have for this child and wanting the best for them. That's the core. It's just been shrouded by this behavior. I can't put up with it anymore. What is this about? And it's being fed into by your own frustration. So what are you dealing with as an individual? Find a way to start to process that so that you're separating issues. Then show up in a we call it unconditional positive regard in our field. Because at the core is love. Lead with that. Hey, I know I've not been the most supportive person lately, or I've also been in a mood lately. Acknowledge where you are. But genuinely, I am worried about you. What's happening? Are you able to open up to me? If it's a teenager, they might say nothing, 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 and you just want to say, okay, but I'm genuinely interested to know because, you've been showing up this way. It's hurt maybe your sister or your brother, but I know at your core there's something going on there. Again, we tell parents, do you have community around your child that if they talk to uncle so-and-so or auntie so-and-so or the counselor, if you've created trust there, that you're at peace, so that if they're not yet ready to open up to you, you're able to say, okay, do you want to talk to auntie so-and-so or uncle so-and-so or the counselor? I will not ask about it. I just want you to be okay. Yeah. So how a stuck parent might approach something is first, how much of this is about you and not the child's behavior, and just find a way to resolve that or to begin the process of resolving that so that the child is not suffering issues that are not fully theirs, from you. But secondly, be curious with the child. Call the school. The school is a partner. If nothing has shifted or changed at home in a way that you feel could have birthed that kind of behavior issue, but also build community around your child, 2, 3, 4 spaces
Mm-hmm.
where you're able to build confidence and say, if you talk to so and so, I'm okay with it. I just want you to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just want you to find safety to be able to process. It doesn't mean you don't have to be firm. It doesn't mean you can't say this behavior is actually not acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
And there are consequences around whatever that behavior is. However, I can tell there's something going on there.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is, I want you to be okay. So
Mm-hmm.
leading with care, it goes a long way, people. It goes a long way
Yeah. Yeah.
into getting you unstuck.
Yeah.
It could be that the child needs something, I don't know, some extra support. It could be something they could be assessed for.
Mm-hmm.
As a parent, are you open to it? Even how you introduce the idea of a counselor. Younger children will go with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
Older children might feel like you're saying, I have a problem. I need to be fixed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm weak. They might view it in all sorts of ways. So if as a parent, if you normalize and say, you know what, we all need support.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want you to be in a space where you can process,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's not me. Can you go even for one meeting? Just start one meeting because I want you to be okay. Imagine your child will listen to that as opposed to, can you go see the counselor? Sometimes that's the tone. Can you go see the counselor?
Yeah.
And that is telling me you're fed up with me, you think there's something wrong with me. And so the counselor becomes the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe your child needs a space to be assessed for something, especially if it's a behavior that's so repeated. Some interventions have not worked or they've been consistent for a time. We know if it's things like anxiety or depression, it's that there's been no change for a couple of weeks. This is how the child is showing up.
Mm-hmm.
You want to get them in a space where they could be assessed for something.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope I have helped someone with that information. How much of this is about me? What do I need to separate here before I approach this child? But leading with care will go a long way.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are sounding like a broken record because we're bringing it back to the parent, bringing it back to the teacher, bringing it back to you. And I think it's because of years of experience and years of working with children and seeing your child really doesn't need fixing.
Mm-hmm.
Your child needs to be nurtured in an environment where they can thrive. And how do we provide that environment? It's all the things that you're saying. It really strikes me how we still just go back to that and just thinking about work that you're doing with the teachers and the parents and having moms come into one of those sessions where we had Zumba. Was it Zumba?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You begin with a Zumba and they
Yeah,
feel good about themselves and then
exactly.
go into a topic for the day.
Exactly. Yeah. What are some of, just give us a little bit more of those really practical activities, really practical things that you are doing in your space to really help parents and adults, for a lack of better word, feel good about themselves. Because when they feel good, from a positive psychology, we know with the positive emotions, it helps us think better, make better decisions, have a better sense of well-being, be kinder, be compassionate. So sell us some of your secrets.
Yeah. Okay, but because I would be very happy for it to be replicated. I really think it is the goal to creating a culture where children thrive, but the adults thrive as well. And perhaps even be the ones who begin to thrive so they can pass it to the children. Yeah. So every time people are thinking, how can we help children? How can we help children? Just understand the children need you. So where are you at? Where are you at? So I believe whatever space you find yourself as a school counselor, because schools are different, with that mindset that I talked about, that this matters, be engaged in what's going on in the school as much as you can be. So, from the typical things of, if there was an assembly, be in the assembly, be in the assembly, be in the staff meetings, because you get to hear what's going on, what's being planned, and you get to see even how to plug in. When people see you as a team, as part of the team, then you're not someone who is a stranger to them or far removed from what they're doing. They also see that we are on the same team. And so be engaged in what's going on. As you're engaged in what's going on, you're looking for opportunities to educate the community, especially if you're beginning in the school. Where is this school at? Is it a school that's already fairly knowledgeable about well-being, mental health? If they are, then what is already existing? And where are the gaps? So interacting consistently with the school community you're in helps you identify where the gaps are, and creating very fun or very doable programs so they don't feel like you're adding to the plate of work that people already have. So if you have things like themed weeks, you know, the mental health weeks where the theme could be kindness. We've had themes around like let loose. Let loose, and what we did the whole week was dance. It was just dance. We had music playing at the break times, break time, lunch time. In the weekly staff meeting, we just brought a Zumba dance instructor, and we danced, and we went to the drivers who don't usually make it to meetings, and they went in a circle there and they danced, you know. And it was just our tagline was life is serious enough on its own. Let's just learn to breathe and enjoy, you know. And so people loved that, and the adults loved that, you know. We would send videos home and just encourage parents. This week we're focusing on this. What fun thing can you do to let loose with your kids this week? So we try to involve the whole school in whatever that theme is. If there's a time we wanted to do kindness, and then we themed it, you've got mail. And we got an envelope for every staff member and every student, and we said stick up these envelopes if it's for students in the classes, and label them, and each student has an envelope, and so they write their names, and take them through teachers, take your class through writing positive things about everyone. Everyone needs to have mail that week. So that week, people were just writing positive things about you, and they throw it in your envelope. And on Friday, you take your envelope off the wall and you go home and read what people said about you. It was wonderful to even see like a lab technician, you know, they talked about it forever. It was so great that students wrote, I mean, I didn't know this is what they thought about the work I do here in the lab, you know? So it's finding ways that really touch the core of being human, you know, the I appreciate you, I see you. Even when you talk about kindness, we want to ask, are you a kind person? So you'll find on one of the boards, let's say in the hall, we say, I'm a good friend to have because I am, and we leave it blank and we provide markers, and children will come and say, of course, you'll always have children who write some naughty things up there. It's a school, but you have children who say, I listen. So you're getting them to think, am I giving out what it is I'm hoping I'm going to get back? Yeah. So looking for where are we as a school this time? What am I reading of the themes that are coming in the counseling room, or teachers are talking about? What would be a good thing to focus on this time? And hopefully the leadership has buy-in to mental health. Otherwise, if they don't, then your initiatives become very difficult to implement. But once you have a leadership who say well-being matters, mental health matters, tell us where to go. You're able, and these things are budget friendly, you know, envelopes are not expensive. You don't have to get very big budgets unless you're going to do a huge campaign. But little ways, giving teachers topics to talk about in class during their morning meetings. Explore this, you know, and because you gave them points, you're not adding to their plate to have to think through. Some teachers will think through, some are just like, let's just pray and start the day, you know. So when you give them a point or two to discuss in class in the morning, you get feedback. Some do it, some don't. Like I said, it's not a perfect picture, but we are working on it. We say in Kiswahili, pole pole, slowly. It's slow but sure. So it's where you are as a school. Do you have leadership buy-in? And where are the gaps as you engage with children, as you talk to teachers? They view you as a friend. Do they? Do they know what you're about? What can you do to get them to see this as for them, for their good? You are rooting for them, because then they let you more into their spaces. They tell you, come and handle this topic in class. It's dating, and you know, and that's progress. Talk to a child about this. That's progress, because they're now seeing you as part of the team. Yeah. So always look for easy ways. If leaders hear budgets that are big, they really frown on that, and it's not likely to gain legs or any traction. But if you say, we just want to play music, and maybe you have already sound systems in the school, we want to play music in the corridors, we want people to take moments to dance, it costs zero. And everybody is having fun. At most, if you do it for staff, you might pay the facilitator who will come take staff through dance. But look for fun, simple ways, research, go online, see what people are doing. If you're a part of a school community, put it out there. This is coming up. What are some ways, creative ways I can bring out a mental health message? I think it's doable. It's doable. And just always keeping in mind, there's always a gap between knowledge and actual change. Take the small wins. As long as the pin has moved, even if it's 1 degree in the right direction, there's progress being made. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's what I'd say to people in my field.
Yeah, that's and like you're saying, they're budget friendly, they're doable. It
Mhm,
just needs a level of openness. I love
mhm.
those ideas, the kindness, the fill in the blanks, the dance. And the fact that
Yes.
it's not just with the kids, you have separate sessions with the staff. I think
Mhm.
just bringing back the humanness and saying you're not just robots that we want to work through you to take care of the
Mhm,
kids, but you
mhm,
matter,
mhm,
you care about.
mhm.
Wow, thank you so much for all that sharing and just simplifying it very much because
Yeah.
I've interacted with you, I've interacted with the parents
Mhm.
that you've interacted with, and I know that they do appreciate the work that you are.
Mm.
Yes, they do.
Oh, thank you.
So I think we can wind down just one practical tool that parents can start this week.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
what can I do that is just, again, budget friendly, simple, low hanging fruit? What is it?
Yeah.
Mm.
Check in. Checking in.
Mm.
Do you have a system? And maybe system is not a very friendly word. Do you have a practice at home where you actually said, how was your day?
Yeah,
And you wanted to hear the answer to that question in a very curious way,
yeah,
not dismissive. That when you hear a friend is not talking to so and so today, that you don't need these people in your life. When you're older, they won't even matter. No, kids are
yeah,
not looking for that.
yeah.
Kids are not looking for that. It's to just hear and say, oh gosh, I'm sorry about that. How do you feel about it? You know, what works well today?
Mm.
It's not always doom and gloom.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
we have a negative bias as humans, and so kids, all of us just pick the thing that's not working.
Mm-hmm.
But if you say, okay, but you had a whole day, is there anything that worked for you today? But more than that, even trying to pull out that stuff is just really, how are you? And you want to hear,
Mm-hmm.
who did you have lunch with? If they're younger, who did you sit with today?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Who did you play with today? Oh, really? How do you even play that game? You're very curious. You pause, then you run, and now they're telling you about their life. And when it's good, you're happy with them. And when it's sad, you're normalizing the emotion and saying, I would be sad too. Yeah, sorry about that. And just that way, you're not just build trust,
Mm-hmm.
but also you've helped them process
Mm-hmm.
their day's events. But if you don't know how to do it for yourself, you don't have a space where that's done
Mm-hmm.
for you, or you've not created, there are no friends or community or connections with people that do that, and you don't do that for yourself, end of day, maybe early morning, what do I want from this day? Or how was my day today at the end of the day? It's going to be hard
Mm-hmm.
to try to do it for your children.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep in mind, life is always moving. There's always work. There's always a call. There's always a message to respond to.
Mm-hmm.
There's a travel. There's this, there's that. There's what you desire for your life, for your children, all at the same time. It's all happening at the same time. It's on your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't take moments to pause and feel your humanness,
Mm-hmm.
where am I? Am I okay, or I'm just about to crash and burn right now? And
Right.
what can I do about this?
Mm-hmm.
Then you're able to step into the space at home and say, hey, how are you guys? How
Mm-hmm.
are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Let's play. Let's watch a movie.
Yeah.
Let's play poker.
Mm-hmm.
Let's, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel it's very practical, but it doesn't happen often. It doesn't happen. We're very attached to our gadgets because it helps us escape life. Life is a lot and stressful.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what you need as the adult. That's what your child needs from you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And someone was saying children need you when they need you, not when you're ready for them.
Mm-hmm.
They need you when they need you.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you have support where you can tag team,
Yeah.
because you won't always have a cup that's overflowing, that helps. Yeah. But those are really simple things we can do that go a long way, even buffering children for their negative experiences in school. The research is out there.
It is.
If you come home and just offload the day and someone was there to receive it in a non-judgmental, loving way, guess what? They bounce back much faster from difficult experiences just because that simple thing is happening at home.
Mm.
Yeah.
I love that, and the simplicity of the tools that you have given us. Sometimes we sit and we listen, we're like, I don't have time for that. I don't have, I'm not able to do that. I think it goes
Mm-hmm.
back to you taking care of yourself. And there's some interesting research that's coming out that's saying all these tips that we give,
Mm-hmm.
we usually just go into, I have to do it perfectly all the time. I say,
Mm-hmm.
if you do it just 30% of the time, it means that even the rest of
Mm-hmm.
the week you don't, but that one time when you do it fully,
Yes.
do it when you're fully present. That's
Yes.
So it's not so much the quantity, but it's the quality that,
Yes.
and literally research says 30% of the time. So can you imagine how many opportunities for do-overs we have when we
Yeah.
you know?
And make it easy.
Yes.
You know, you don't have to block out an hour, like, you know, just make it easy. Is it in the car? Is it when you start to eat? Is it as they be just before they go to bed? You know, make it a way that's easy, because if it's easy, then it's sustainable.
It's sustainable.
Yeah. Otherwise, if you're having to pull things apart, you're not gonna do it for long.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mercy. You've given us a peek, a window into the daily realities of children, and reminded us that it's really back to us and about leading with care, but taking care of us more than anything else. Like I said, I knew that's where the conversation would go, because where else does it go? We have to take care of ourselves first. So thank you so much for agreeing to be part of this conversation. And for those who are watching, you will find Mercy's details and contacts as part of the summit resources, and you can be able to reach out to her. Thank you.
Yes, anytime. Thank you for having me. This was fun.
It was, yes.